All right, welcome back to the Droematic Show podcast. This is your host, Droematic, along with my special co-host today, going via phone. I got my man Jackie in the building. Jackie, say what's up to the crowd, man.
Hey, Joe, how's it going, man? Glad to be on the show.
Good deal. And for you guys that don't know, Jack is going to be our weekly NFL guy. He's going to be giving us tips and basically how to make more money using fantasy football and basically doing some you pick 'em picks for the NFL. So, Jackie, let's get right into this, man. What are you going to be telling the crowd each week, man? Let's just get right into it.
Okay, each week we'll go over some of the replays from the weekend, bad beats, interesting games, bad calls, and then look, but won't spend much time on it because that's old news, and we'll focus on new news and target good fantasy plays for the weekend, good picks to throw down some cash on.
And Jackie, are we just going to stick with NFL or are we going to do college also?
Okay, next game on the list, Detroit Lions at the Arizona Cardinals. The Lions are favored by 2 to 3 points, and the over-under is set at 47 in this game. I'm looking for this game to be low scoring. I know 47 is a pretty high total, and Kyler Murray for the Arizona Cardinals I think is going to be an absolute bust. There's only been 5 players in NFL history under 5'11" to play the quarterback position, last being Doug Flutie. He looks like a pipsqueak out there, and his ability not to read defenses and try to make things happen with his feet, he's going to get hurt. He's playing with some really big dudes out there, and it's just a matter of time before someone gets him. I'm rooting for him, and I'm not hoping that happens, but, history is against him here. So, again, the Detroit Lions, I said earlier in the podcast that Detroit's a sleeper team for the NFC North. Matt Patricia, this is his second year with the Lions, and we all know that coaches make their biggest strides in their second year. And for those of you who are not familiar with Matt Patricia, he was with the New England Patriots for all the years. Bill Belichick, one of Bill Belichick's right-hand man. He knows a little something about winning. And when you have a quarterback like Matt Stafford, your team has a chance to win every single game. And he's a gamer. Looking for a pretty good game from Stafford. Arizona's defense is pass defense, believe it or not, is really good. But look for Galladay for the Lions to have a big game. He's a big, tall, fast receiver. And last year he really built a rapport with Matt Stafford, and I look for that to continue to the point of maybe possibly a Pro Bowl here. This guy's really good, and he's got a really good quarterback throwing him the ball. So look for Galladay to have a good game. Look for Stafford to have a good game or a decent game. You can plug in there. Not sure who the running back is for the Lions. I should have that information in front of me. I know they've went through a couple changeovers there, but the guy that they've got, I remember doing the research on him. Again, too much information and too many players, all around. But I do remember doing the research on this player for the Lions. I'm trying to pull it up now. He's going to have a breakout season a little bit. So they're going to try to run the ball, and he's big and tough. And someone's got to run the ball for the Lions. So look for the Lions running back here to possibly have a decent above-average game, and you could probably get him at a value because nobody's thinking about him. So as far as the line goes, I don't see Arizona winning this game. I said earlier in the podcast, I think Arizona is going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL, if not the worst team. It's going to be interesting. I think Brett Hundley, the backup quarterback for Arizona, is going to eventually get his chance here, which isn't so bad. Brett Hundley, he's a little more prototypical, 6'3", 6'4", 220, pretty big arm, and he's been a protege under Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, and this might be, kind of like the quarterback up in Indy that we were just talking about. Jacoby Brissett, this is kind of a same spot for Brett Hundley here in Arizona. He's probably going to get his chance to play sooner or later, and he might fit the offense better than Kyler Murray, to be honest with you. He's got the wheels, and he also has got the protege. He's started a handful of games in the NFL. He's won a few games in the NFL. So I look for Brett Hundley to eventually get his chance, and it'll be interesting to see what he gets. And this coach for Arizona, Kingsbury, he's going to bring an exciting, high-flying offense into the league. I know during the preseason they didn't look very good and didn't have it together. And, I mean, it's just a lot to ask for a rookie quarterback. And Detroit is always better on defense than you think they are. And I don't see how Arizona can win this game. And I see Detroit covering the spread here. So, and it's probably going to go under because Arizona's not going to score but 10, 15 points in this game. And I just pulled up the information. Kerryon Johnson is the running back for the Detroit Lions. So that's the good stuff right there on the lines right there in the Arizona game.
Thursday night football, Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears. The line is -3 points, over under 46.5. Green Bay's favored. Going to be a really close game. I don't look for Green Bay to run away in this game too much. Chicago's really good on defense. They got Khalil Mack, and they run a lot of good defenses to get him one-on-one coverage, and if they don't, you have to put so much emphasis on stopping Khalil Mack. He's going to be in the backfield or disruptive. I don't see the Packers just marching up and down the field and blowing the Bears out here at home. Going to be a close game. Don't know if it's going to get to 46.5 points. It's a lot of points for a division game. Chicago and Green Bay are in the NFC North, and these two teams will play each other again later on in the year. Really tough division with Detroit, Minnesota, Green Bay, and the Packers. The division's up for grabs. A lot of people are not talking about the Lions. They're the least favorite pick here. And Matt Patricia, second-year coach, worked under Bill Belichick for several years, won a couple Super Bowls. This is his second year for the Lions. Don't count the Lions out of this division or Matthew Stafford. Anytime you have Matthew Stafford out on the field, you have a chance to win. This guy's a gamer, and he is competitive as can be, and his team is in every game they play. As far as the Chicago-Green Bay game, fantasy value, it's hard to get these standalone games in. I know FanDuel and DraftKings usually don't. I mean, they have like individual games or fantasy games for these Thursday night and Sunday night and Monday night games, but they don't have the pool of players available for the big pools that most of us like to get in. So, but it's going to be interesting to see what Aaron Rodgers has to do coming off an injury, coming out against the Chicago Bears against a great defense that they've got, a great opening game, two storied franchises. It'll be interesting to see, and I know everybody's looking forward to football. I know I am, but not going to miss this game. Just be nice to see what Aaron Rodgers does out there, and it'll be good. It'll be good stuff. All right, next game on the sheet. Tennessee Titans are traveling to the Cleveland Browns, and the line is 5 points here, and the over-under is set at 45. Going to be a good, interesting game. I know everybody's excited about the Cleveland Browns, and they're a hot pick to maybe win this division and overtake Pittsburgh or Baltimore, and rightly so. I don't think Pittsburgh or Baltimore is the team that they used to be, especially Baltimore. Going away from Joe Flacco. Lamar Jackson's got a lot to prove at quarterback here. And I think Baltimore's going to be a really good team. It's going to be a really competitive division. I'm looking forward to watching the Cleveland Browns and Odell Beckham Jr. get out there and compete against the Tennessee Titans. I know the line at 5.5 points is that's an odd number. You don't see a lot of football games on 5 or 5.5 points, and most of the times when you see a football game on 5, it means the odds makers are scared to death of this game. And I don't know what they would be scared to death about. Maybe the fact that Cleveland can go out and win this game 40-10 with all the talent they've got. Nick Chubb is a fantastic running back. I don't see a lot of fantasy value here. I know they're going to be consistent and put up some decent points, but I don't see any monster games. Tennessee's defense is always better than their offense, and they make games a slodge, and they get in good defensive positions, and they make the teams that do beat them earn it. And I see Baker Mayfield coming out, having a good game. I don't see him going for 304 touchdowns against Tennessee. They're going to come out and try to establish the run with Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, count him for 75, 80 yards carrying, maybe a touchdown. There's other better fantasy value out there. The over-under in this game also, you just don't ever know. Tennessee's offense is not all that great. And Marcus Mariota, he's in his last year of his contract. And if he don't come out and show out this year, I don't expect him to be in the league this year. There's other mediocre quarterbacks out there trying to get their way into the NFL that will do it for a whole lot less, and he signed a big-ass contract. And you look at some of the other players that have produced since he's been in the league that's got these big contracts, like Russell Wilson has already won a Super Bowl and is a perennial playoff contender. Marcus Mariota, I know he's had an injury or two, but so what? Who hasn't? It's the NFL. Everybody's had an injury or two. The bottom line is he hasn't produced wins or results. And for that kind of money, that's what you expect. And like I said, you can find other players out there that'll do it for cheap. So looking forward to watching this game, hoping the Cleveland Browns have a good year. It's going to be fun to watch them. They got a lot of talent on offense and defense. They're young, and Baker Mayfield, he's a spark plug. He gets his team fired up, and they believe in him. Everybody's believing in Cleveland, nothing but good vibes in Cleveland. So looking forward to that game. Next game on the board, Atlanta at Minnesota. Minnesota's favored by 4 points. The over-under in this game is 47.5. A lot of fantasy value in this game. Kirk Cousins is above average, and Atlanta's defense last year struggled tremendously against the pass. Look for Kirk Cousins to come out and have a pretty good game. Make sure you pair him with Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen and the running back, Delvin Cook. All of these guys are going to have really good games. I wouldn't go with Matt Ryan in this game or Julio Jones. I mean, they're going to be okay, but I don't think they're going to put up monster fantasy points for this game, and you're going to pay way overpriced for Julio, and there's better value out there. Minnesota last year was one of the best teams in the NFL with pass defense. Not saying that Atlanta's not going to find ways to get the ball down the field and score, and I wouldn't necessarily bet on this game, giving up the 4 points one way or another. I think it's going to be a close game, come right down to the end. Kind of would tend to bet on the over here. I know 47.5 points is a lot of points for an over, but again, Atlanta and Matt Ryan will find ways to manufacture points. Another player that I haven't mentioned is Devontae Freeman. He's going to line up, and Calvin Ridley. These guys are going to be all over the field, and Atlanta's going to use them heavily in the game. So if you're looking for some value, go with Freeman and Ridley in this game. But fade Matt Ryan and Julio Jones just too much, and Matt Ryan's going to have just an okay game. It's going to be serviceable. Atlanta's going to be in it. It's going to be a close game right to the end. And Atlanta has a chance to win the NFC South. Again, it's a tough division with Cam Newton and Carolina, Tampa Bay, and New Orleans and Drew Brees. It's going to be a dogfight right to the end. So this is going to be a really good matchup beginning of the year, possible NFC conference championship. Looking forward to watching this game as the rest of them.
Next game we have is Philadelphia versus Washington. Philadelphia is a 9-point favorite. Over-under in this game is 46 points. This is going to be a division game to start the year off, and these division games are always interesting. These teams are going to play again later on. I have a prediction here. I'm predicting the Washington Redskins are going to be one of the worst teams in the league. They are going to be fighting the Arizona Cardinals for the worst team in the league. Tough spot here for Washington. I'm not sure who they have named quarterback. They've got 3 of them, and one of them is a rookie, and not even sure they've named a starting quarterback yet. Adrian Peterson, I don't know how well his wheels are going to be out here. He might need to charge up his wheelchair. He's getting old out there. He's already way past the 30 number, and Philadelphia is out for blood. This is a big game. All the Philadelphia Eagle players, are going to be serviceable fantasy options this week. Carson Wentz is definitely going to move the ball around. Look for him to get Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson involved in the game. And as a matter of fact, look for the Philadelphia offensive coordinator to get all their players involved in the game. Look for Jordan Howard to, have above average, decent game, and even Darren Sproles, don't count him out. They're going to want to get him some game snaps and get him ready, and just all these guys are going to have, above average games. I'm not sure if they're going to have big breakout monster fantasy points for you, but they're all going to do pretty well. Betting on a team giving up 10 points, historically speaking, very rarely do teams cover 10 points in the NFL looking back. So this might just be one of those games you watch, and who knows what's going to happen. Over, under 46, I don't know. I mean, the only way it's going to be 46 points is if Philadelphia scores all 46 of them, because I don't see the Redskins scoring a damn point in this game. I don't even know how they're going to score. So they ain't got nothing. But look for Philadelphia to contend heavily in this division. I give them the leg up to win this division over Dallas and the Giants. Not sure about the Giants. Dallas wants to be something, but they're going to have to beat Philadelphia. So I'm giving Philadelphia the edge in the NFC North division. Not North, sorry, NFC East division. We'll just see what happens here. Okay, next game up. Carolina Panthers at home versus the Los Angeles Rams. Carolina is a 3-point underdog at home versus a West Coast team, which you do not see very often. Cam Newton's coming off another surgery, another injury. We know that he's a baller and is going to be out there going full tilt. So going to be a really good game. Interesting matchup for week one. Potential NFC conference championship matchup. We could see these teams facing off again in the playoffs. Who knows? You never know. The over-under in this game is set at 50, which is one of the highest totals on the board. So look for some scoring in this game. As far as fantasy value goes, Cam Newton's going to have an above-average game. He's going to put up some fantasy points. He's Cam Newton. And for fantasy value, if you're looking for a bunch of points, breakout game, Christian McCaffrey. This guy gets the ball thrown to him 6, 7, 8 times a game, sometimes 10 times a game, plus the carries. He's highly involved in this game. Look for him to get a lot of carries. Let's hope he can get some touchdowns. I know I'm going to have McCaffrey in a lot of my daily fantasy football teams this week. As far as wide receivers go for the Panthers, they've got some good receivers. Moore, Samuel, and Wright. None of them are superstars that are going to go out and put up monster fantasy value. But again, Newton's going to spread the ball around. Find the open guy. These guys are going to run good routes. With that said, Greg Olsen, is going to be healthy, maybe for the first time in a while, and that's Newton's go-to guy. Tight end play here. Tight end's always a hard position to pick in fantasy football, so look for Greg Olsen to get involved in this game sooner or later, and Cam Newton to get the ball into him. He is a big-time gamer, and he might give you some fantasy value at the tight end position. On the other side of the field, we got Jared Goff and Todd Gurley and the rest of the bunch. I believe Cooper Kupp is coming off some sort of injury or surgery. Not sure how he's going to come out there. It's going to be interesting. And again, Goff is just really good at getting all his players involved. Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. All of these guys are going to, get the ball, but which one's going to put up that, 15 to 20 points in fantasy points? It's just a kind of a crapshoot here. One of these guys is going to have a better game than the other, and it's just going to depend on matchups. It's just too hard to tell early on. And it's going to also be interesting to see what Todd Gurley does in this game. Last we saw him, he was on the sidelines during the Super Bowl and, with arthritis in his knee, supposedly. So, and now he don't have his safety back up in this game. I don't know what's going to go on here. Interesting to watch this game. Again, expect some points in this game. Over-unders 50 points. I don't know about betting on this game. Again, you can't bet on every single game. So it's just going to be a good game. Looking forward to watching this game. It's probably going to come really close to those 50 points one way or another, up or down. And it's hard to give East Coast team points at home against the West Coast team. And this might be a good place for a teaser getting those 6 points if you wanted to do that. But again, this is just going to be a really good game. Looking forward to watching this one. All right, the next game we have is another interesting matchup. Jacksonville at home getting 4 points against Kansas City Chiefs. The over-under in this game is set at 52, which is the second highest total on the board for the week. The only other higher total is the New Orleans-Houston game at 53. So I guess everyone's expecting a lot of points in this game, and probably so. Surprise team this year for me is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. I look for them to win this division hands down with ease. With Andrew Luck going out, and retiring, that takes one team right out of the mix, right out of the bat. Houston is okay with their mobile quarterback, and Tennessee, they can't compete. So I just look for Jacksonville to walk away with this division, and Nick Foles to be the surprise player of the year. This guy is legit across the board. I put him right up there as talent level with Brady and Breeze and Rodgers. I think he's the fourth best quarterback in the NFL, and I don't know why he's moved around so much, but his results are real. He throws more touchdowns. He's won a Super Bowl. This guy is legit across the board, and now he is on a really good team that has a really good defense. This team last year, Jacksonville beat the Patriots by 40-20 in Jacksonville. Just really looking for big things for Jacksonville this year. Nobody's talking about them. I think they're a big-time sleeper, and I think Nick Foles is a big-time sleeper. Look for him to get the ball to Marquise Lee coming back from injury. Been sitting out a year with an injury. Everyone's talking about D.D. Westbrook, and Westbrook has looked really good in the preseason, and Nick Foles is going to deliver that ball. He throws a good, accurate ball, and Westbrook is going to have a good game, but someone that's not on a lot of people's radar right now is Marquise Lee coming off of an injury. He sat out all last year. He's in shape. He's ready to go. Also, look for Leonard Fournette to have a good game this year, good game this week, and a good season. Jacksonville hasn't had a good passing game, and they've had to rely on him too much. And now that they have a quarterback that can get them around the field, look for a little pressure to be taken off Fournette, and look for him to stay more healthy and get more involved at the key times. And don't be afraid to put him in there. He's liable to pound it in there 2 or 3 times this weekend. There's obviously going to be a lot of points scored in this game. On the other side of the ball, we have Patrick Mahomes. And given his stats last year, his rookie year, one thing we know across the board in all sports, there's a sophomore slump. It doesn't matter if it's football, baseball, basketball, or hockey. No one ever comes out and does what they do in their second year. It's just called the sophomore slump. It happens. It's real. And not only that, it's going to be impossible for this guy to put up the kind of stats he put up last year. That was ungodly, unheard of. Expect Mahomes to fall back to earth and play. He's still awesome. Don't get it twisted. This guy is still amazing, and he's going to put up some points and some fantasy points. But just don't expect him to be able to do it again. Just don't see it happening here. And they have a lot of talent over there. He's going to move that ball around. The coach is just really good at getting everybody involved in this game. The wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, was able to make his way through the suspension, and the allegations against him were dropped. So he's going to get to play in this game. Look, he's the fastest guy in the league, man. This guy, he's got world-class speed, and they get him the ball as much as they can. So Tyreek Hill can take it to the house. Expect him to be heavily involved in this game. You're going to pay out the wazoo for this guy on daily fantasy football, but he might be worth it. If you're going to sit here and create, 10, 15 teams and have a bunch of teams, you got to throw Tyreek Hill in there because he can go off at any minute. So same thing with Patrick Mahomes. He's going to have a good game. Just don't expect him to, like I said, don't expect him to put up monster numbers like he did last year. He's going to put up mini monster numbers, I guess, like miniature, So Sammy Watkins is going to get involved in here. Travis Kelce's going to get involved here. It's just going to be a really good game. Again, it's an interesting matchup, week 1. 2 potential AFC teams that could see each other again in the playoffs. just expect Jacksonville to really play well this year and Nick Foles to rock on, man. So this is going to be my favorite game of the week to watch. Not sure who I'm going to bet on this one. Can't bet on them all, but I'm looking forward to watching this one. I think it's going to be a really close game, a really fun game. Again, maybe Jacksonville in a teaser here getting 6 points. You could put that with what was the other one we were talking about a while ago? We were talking about Carolina getting 6. So that would be 2 home teams getting almost 10 points at home. So that wouldn't be too bad of a teaser to throw down. Over under 52, that's a lot of points. I see it coming right down to probably 52 points. It's amazing how close these guys get it sometimes. So it's going to probably hit within 2 or 3 points of 52 one way or another. Just best not to probably mess with that total. Just watch this game and enjoy it for what it is, man. 2 great teams going at it. Good luck. All right, the next game we have is another interesting matchup. Jacksonville at home getting 4 points against Kansas City Chiefs. The over-under in this game is set at 52, which is the second highest total on the board for the week. The only other higher total is the New Orleans-Houston game at 53. So I guess everyone's expecting a lot of points in this game, and probably so. Surprise team this year for me is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. I look for them to win this division hands down with ease. With Andrew Luck going out, and retiring, that takes one team right out of the mix, right out of the bat. Houston is okay with their mobile quarterback, and Tennessee, they can't compete. So I just look for Jacksonville to walk away with this division, and Nick Foles to be the surprise player of the year. This guy is legit across the board. I put him right up there as talent level with Brady and Breeze and Rodgers. I think he's the 4th best quarterback in the NFL, and I don't know why he's moved around so much, but his results are real. He throws more touchdowns. He's won a Super Bowl. This guy is legit across the board, and now he is on a really good team that has a really good defense. This team last year, Jacksonville beat the Patriots by 40-20 in Jacksonville. Just really looking for big things for Jacksonville this year. Nobody's talking about them. I think they're a big-time sleeper, and I think Nick Foles is a big-time sleeper. Look for him to get the ball to Marquise Lee coming back from injury. Been sitting out a year with an injury. Everyone's talking about D.D. Westbrook, and Westbrook has looked really good in the preseason, and Nick Foles is going to deliver that ball. He throws a good, accurate ball, and Westbrook is going to have a good game, but someone that's not on a lot of people's radar right now is Marquise Lee coming off of an injury. He sat out all last year. He's in shape. He's ready to go. Also, look for Leonard Fournette to have a good game this year, good game this week, and a good season. Jacksonville hasn't had a good passing game, and they've had to rely on him too much. And now that they have a quarterback that can get them around the field, look for a little pressure to be taken off Fournette, and look for him to stay more healthy and get more involved at the key times. And don't be afraid to put him in there. He's liable to pound it in there 2 or 3 times this weekend. There's obviously going to be a lot of points scored in this game. On the other side of the ball, we have Patrick Mahomes. And given his stats last year, his rookie year, one thing we know across the board in all sports, there's a sophomore slump. It doesn't matter if it's football, baseball, basketball, or hockey. No one ever comes out and does what they do in their second year. It's just called the sophomore slump. It happens. It's real. And not only that, it's going to be impossible for this guy to put up the kind of stats he put up last year. That was ungodly, unheard of. Expect Mahomes to fall back to earth and play. He's still awesome. Don't get it twisted. This guy is still amazing, and he's going to put up some points and some fantasy points. But just don't expect him to be able to do it again. Just don't see it happening here. And they have a lot of talent over there, and he's going to move that ball around. The coach is just really good at getting everybody involved in this game. The wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, was able to make his way through the suspension and the allegations against him were dropped, so he's going to get to play in this game. Look, he's the fastest guy in the league, man. This guy, he's got world-class speed, and they get him the ball as much as they can. So Tyreek Hill can take it to the house. Expect him to be heavily involved in this game. You're going to pay out the wazoo for this guy on daily fantasy football, but he might be worth it. If you're going to sit here and create, 10, 15 teams and have a bunch of teams, you got to throw Tyreek Hill in there because he can go off at any minute. So same thing with Patrick Mahomes. He's going to have a good game. Just don't expect him to, like I said, don't expect him to put up monster numbers like he did last year. He's going to put up mini monster numbers, I guess, like miniature. So Sammy Watkins is going to get involved in here. Travis Kelce's going to get involved here. It's just going to be a really good game. Again, it's an interesting matchup, week one. Two potential AFC teams that could see each other again in the playoffs. Just expect Jacksonville to really play well this year and Nick Foles to rock on, man. So this is going to be my favorite game of the week to watch. Not sure who I'm going to bet on this one. Can't bet on them all, but I'm looking forward to watching this one. I think it's going to be a really close game, a really fun game. Again, maybe Jacksonville in a teaser here getting 6 points. You could put that with what was the other one we were talking about a while ago? We were talking about Carolina getting 6. So that would be 2 home teams getting almost 10 points at home. So that wouldn't be too bad of a teaser to throw down. Over under 52, that's a lot of points. I see it coming right down to probably 52 points. It's amazing how close these guys get it sometimes. So it's going to probably hit within 2 or 3 points of 52 one way or another. Just best not to probably mess with that total. Just watch this game and enjoy it for what it is, man. 2 great teams going at it. Good luck. Okay, the next game we have is the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Indiana Colts. This game's going to be in L.A. The Colts are underdogs by 6 points, maybe 7 points at some books. Over-under is set at 44. Lot of controversy surrounding the Indianapolis Colts with Andrew Luck abruptly retiring. I give him kudos for dipping out. He's just tired, man. He's just been injured, and he's got plenty of bank. He can go do other things and not put his body through hell. And on top of that, the Indianapolis Colts are one of the worst teams in the league as far as talent. And it'd be one thing if he was on the Patriots or some other team that had great talent around him and great coaching and great ownership. But when you compare players versus players around the league, the Colts are just one of the worst teams in the league. That's why Peyton Manning left. He just didn't want to be there anymore. They're just not serious about winning, and you can't blame a man for not wanting to put his body through hell if you're not willing to put him support around him. So Phillip Rivers is going to have a good game. There's not much fantasy value here. I don't know what's going on with this game. Jacoby Brissett, big chance for him to get a start in the NFL. We'll see what he can do. He's got a few starts and has looked pretty good. I'm excited for him. Hope he can take his opportunity and capitalize on it. Opportunities don't come along very often like this, and you're either going to do it or you're not. And so this is his opportunity. I know that he's a real fiery guy, real charismatic. His teammates believe in him. Maybe they're going to be better than everyone thinks they are. Not so sure about that. Marlon Mack, running back for the Colts. I would fade him as far as fantasy goes here. It's going to be hard for Marlon Mack to get off when they're down so much, and I just think the Chargers are, they're just going to slowly pull away. It's kind of going to be a slow. I just see this game as just being a slow, methodical, boring game that the Chargers just eventually pull away in, and I don't see a lot of either team putting up a tremendous amount of fantasy value in this game. Next game on the list is Cincinnati versus Seattle. This game is in Seattle. Seattle's favored by 9-10 points. Over-unders 44. I know everybody's talking about Tyler Lockett having a great year, and Russell Wilson's got to throw the ball to someone. And I don't see anybody else getting the ball but Tyler Lockett. And fantasy value-wise, Chris Carson, running back for the Seahawks, he's going to get plenty of carries in this game. And if anything we know about the Seahawks is they like to run the ball. And so look for Chris Carson to get plenty of carries in this game. Good fantasy value here. for your daily fantasy football. He's going to get the rock. Tyler Lockett's going to get the ball thrown to him a bunch this game also. So look for some fantasy value there. Russell Wilson's going to have an okay game. Cincinnati, on the road in Seattle, tough place. Seattle's defense, is pretty good, but 10 points, man, that's a lot of points to give an NFL team. And like I said earlier, not a lot of times the teams cover 10 points in the NFL. And Cincinnati's one of those teams that, maybe they don't win the playoffs or maybe they don't get into the playoffs, but they also don't get their asses beat every week. So they're competitive, and their quarterback, Andy Dalton's competitive, and they've got a bunch of good talent on that team. And I expect this to be a good competitive game all the way around. Maybe Seattle pulls out in the end and barely covers the spread. I don't know. I wouldn't bet on this game or not. I just expect it to be a good competitive game, and both teams going to get out there, get the season started, see what they got, and should just be a good game. All right, next game. My favorite game of the weekend is from a betting standpoint. Tampa Bay versus San Francisco. This game's a 4 o'clock game in Tampa, and Tampa's a pick. Pickem. The line's even, which is confounding to me. I don't get it. I've got San Francisco finishing dead last in the NFL or fighting for last place with Arizona and Washington. And I've got Tampa with a chance to win this division. I know that they are against the New Orleans Saints, Atlanta, and Carolina. You got Cam Newton, Drew Brees, and Matt Ryan, and you got a lot of star players in this league, and it's probably the toughest conference or division in football. But this is Arians' first year. Bruce Arians' new coach, Jameson Winston, has the right attitude. He's shown flashes of brilliance. He's surrounded by some really good players, really good defense. Don't forget, Ndamukong Suh is playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we all know what kind of discord that he can cause in the backfield. And if you don't guard him or you put too much emphasis on him, it opens up other defensive schemes. I just really look for Tampa to walk away with this game. As far as fantasy value goes in this game, Jameson Winston's going to have a pretty good game. Look for him with 250 passing yards, a couple touchdowns, get you 15, 18 fantasy points here. The running back, Peyton Barber, for the Tampa is going to have a decent game. Look for him to get, 15, 16 carries in this game. Maybe pop one in there. It's going to be a toss-up. Mike Evans is playing wide receiver for Tampa, and so he's going to have, a good game, and he's going to be competing for receptions with what's the dude that plays for him now? Totally botching this. Come on, get it together, man. Someone help me. What is Tampa's other wide receiver's name? Oh, my God. Too much information. Chris Godwin. I know a lot of people are big on Chris Godwin, and, he's a good talent. He's going to be competitive, and he's going to get some looks. And Winston doesn't care who he throws the ball to, whoever's open. And both these guys are going to catch the ball, so it's hard to say which one of these is going to go off or which one is not going to go off. They're going to have good games, though. They're both going to get some targets in this game. Not looking for any one Tampa Bay player to have a big monster fantasy game here. And on the other side of the ball, we have San Francisco and Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know what the big deal is here with Garoppolo. I don't see it. I know a lot of people think that he's, amazing and awesome. I just don't see it. He's coming off injury, and he hasn't looked all that good in the preseason either. And he's just not on a good team. There's just not a lot around him. So he's going to be throwing the ball to, Kittle, tight end, good value play here. I'm not sure what his value is in daily fantasy football, but he's one of the only players out there for San Francisco that's going to be serviceable. He's probably going to get a lot of targets. If you might want to get Kittle on your team, I know the tight end position is really difficult to navigate. So Matt Breida, running back, that name doesn't strike fear in me. And Ndamukong Suh and Tampa Bay and Bruce Arians, they're going to have a good game plan for this. Dante Pettis, wide receiver for San Francisco, is injured, so that leaves Marquise Goodman. I don't think anybody wants to rest their fantasy season on Marquise Goodwin, no offense. So I just don't see a lot of fantasy value on San Francisco's side of the ball. And, again, I just see Tampa Bay walking away with this one. I just don't see how San Francisco can be competitive in any way in this football game.